They say the best love stories start with the worst beginnings. Abeni's happened when her groom rejected her in front of 300 guests. Then a powerful stranger appeared, with eyes that saw into her soul. Dongwoo didn't know why he felt compelled to save her, but when he took her hand, he knew he'd never let go. What he didn't expect was how she'd save him back, how her love would become the thing he'd kill to protect. This is their story, from rejection to redemption, from strangers to soulmates. The church doors burst open and Abeni felt her heart drop into her stomach. She stood at the altar in her white wedding dress, looking at Derek, the man she thought loved her, but his face showed only disgust. "I can't marry you," Derek said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Look at you, Abeni. You're too fat, too dark. My friends laugh at me. My family is ashamed. I only stayed with you because I felt sorry for you." 300 guests gasped. Abeni's hands shook. Her cousin from Ethiopia started crying in the front row. The photographer lowered his camera. Derek's mother smiled like she was happy this was happening. Abeni wanted the floor to swallow her whole. Tears burned her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not yet. Not in front of these people who were staring at her like she was a circus animal. "Please, Derek," she whispered, hating how weak she sounded. "Don't do this. It's already done," he said coldly. "I'm leaving. Find your own way home." He turned to walk away and the guests started whispering loudly. Some pulled out their phones to record. Abeni felt dizzy. She took a step backward, ready to run out the back door. Then a voice cut through the chaos like a knife. "You're making a mistake." Everyone turned to see a tall man walking down the aisle. He wore an expensive black suit that fit him perfectly. His dark hair was styled back, showing a handsome face with sharp cheekbones and intense eyes. Several men in black suits followed him, looking like bodyguards. Abeni had never seen him before, but something about him made her unable to look away. The stranger walked straight to the altar. "Your name is Derek?" he asked, his voice carrying a Korean accent that made every word sound stronger. "Who are you?" Derek demanded. "This is a private event. My name is Dongwoo, and I just watched you humiliate a woman in front of hundreds of people." He turned to look at Abeni, and his eyes softened. "Are you all right?" Abeni couldn't speak. She just stared at this stranger who appeared out of nowhere. Dongwoo turned back to Derek. "You're a fool. This woman is beautiful. Any man would be lucky to have her. But you're too blind to see it." "You don't know anything," Derek shot back. "Stay out of this." "I know enough." Dongwoo moved closer to Derek, and suddenly Derek looked scared. "I know you're a coward who tears down a good woman to feel like a big man. Leave, now, before I make you leave." Derek looked at Dongwoo's bodyguards and turned pale. He practically ran out of the church. His mother followed him, shooting angry looks at everyone. The guests were completely silent now. Dongwoo turned to Abeni and offered his hand. "You don't have to stay here and be embarrassed. Come with me. I'll take you somewhere safe." Abeni knew she should say no. This man was a complete stranger, but something in his eyes made her trust him. She placed her shaking hand in his. His hand was warm and strong. He led her down the aisle while everyone stared. Outside, a long black car waited. Dongwoo opened the door for her like she was a queen, not a rejected bride. As the car drove away, Abeni finally let herself cry. Dongwoo didn't try to stop her or tell her everything would be okay. He just handed her tissues and sat quietly while she sobbed. "Thank you," she finally managed to say. "But why did you help me? You don't even know me." "I was driving by and my driver took a wrong turn. I saw through the church doors what was happening." Dongwoo looked at her seriously. "I couldn't just leave you there. What he did was cruel." "Where are we going?" Abeni asked, suddenly realizing she was in a car with a stranger. My apartment. You can rest there, change clothes, and decide what you want to do next. I promise you're safe with me. Something about the way he said it made Abeni believe him. Dongwoo's apartment was actually a huge penthouse at the top of a tall building. The view of San Francisco was incredible. A kind older woman met them at the door. "Mrs. Park, this is Abeni. She's had a very bad day. Can you help her get comfortable?" Dongwoo asked gently. Mrs. Park took one look at Abeni's tear-stained face and wedding dress and understood immediately. "Of course. Come with me, dear." She helped Abeni out of the wedding dress and into soft, comfortable clothes. When Abeni came back out, Dongwoo had ordered food. "You should eat something," he said. "When was the last time you ate?" Abeni realized she hadn't eaten all day. She'd been too nervous about the wedding. She sat down and picked at the food while Dongwoo watched her with concerned eyes. "Tell me about yourself," he said, "if you want to." Maybe it was because he was a stranger, or maybe because she had nothing left to lose, but Abeni started talking. She told him about growing up in Ethiopia, about becoming a nurse because she loved helping people, about saving every penny to come to America 5 years ago. "I met Derek at the hospital where I work," she said. "He was visiting his sick grandmother. He seemed so kind at first, but after we got engaged, he started saying mean things about my weight, my skin color. I thought he would change. I thought if I was patient enough, loving enough, he would remember why he proposed." "That's not how love works," Dongwoo said quietly. "Real love doesn't ask you to change who you are." "How would you know?" Abeni asked, not meanly, just curious. Dongwoo smiled, but it looked sad. "Because I've never had it. I've had women who wanted my money or my power, but never one who wanted just me." "What do you do?" Abeni asked. "You seem very powerful." "I run several businesses, import, export, real estate. Some people think I'm dangerous." He looked at her carefully. "Does that scare you?" Abeni studied his face. She saw strength there, yes, but also kindness. "You saved me today. That's all I need to know right now." They talked for hours. Dongwoo told her about coming from Korea when he was 20 with nothing but determination, about building his empire from the ground up, about being lonely even though he was surrounded by people. "Everyone wants something from me," he said, "but you're the first person I've met in years who doesn't want anything at all." "I don't have anything to give," Abeni said sadly. "You gave me this evening," Dongwoo said. "The most honest conversation I've had in years. That's more valuable than you know." When Abeni yawned, Dongwoo showed her to a beautiful guest bedroom. At the door, he took her hand again. "Stay here as long as you need," he said. "I'll protect you from anyone who tries to hurt you again. You have my word." Abeni looked up at this mysterious man who appeared in her life like magic. "Why are you being so kind to me?" Dongwoo seemed to struggle with his answer. Finally, he said, "Because from the moment I saw you at that altar, something inside me said you were important. I don't understand it yet, but I want to find out." He lifted her hand and kissed it gently, like a prince in a fairy tale. The touch of his lips on her skin sent tingles up her arm. "Good night, Abeni. Good night, Dongwoo." As she lay in the comfortable bed that night, Abeni touched the hand he had kissed. This morning, she woke up thinking she would marry Derek. Tonight, she was in a stranger's penthouse, feeling safer than she'd felt in months. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in a long time, she felt hope. In his own bedroom, Dongwoo couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Abeni's beautiful dark eyes, her strength even when she was hurt, her gentle spirit. He'd met hundreds of women, but none of them affected him like this. He touched his chest where his heart was beating faster than normal. Something was happening to him, something he'd never felt before. He was falling in love. What happens when a beanie stays with the mysterious Dong-woo? Will she discover his secrets? Drop a comment below and let us know what you think will happen next. Don't forget to like this video. 3 weeks passed and Ebony still lived with Dong-woo. Every morning she went to work at the hospital and every evening she came back to the penthouse. It felt like home now. More importantly, Dong-woo felt like home. They cooked dinner together every night. Dong-woo taught her to make Korean dishes, and she showed him how to cook Ethiopian food. He loved the spicy flavors, and she loved watching him try new things. One evening, they were washing dishes together when their hands touched in the soapy water. They both froze. The air between them felt electric. "Ebony," Dong-woo said softly, not moving his hand away. "I need to tell you something." "What is it?" Her heart was beating so fast. "I think about you all day. When you're at work, I count the hours until you come home. When you smile, my whole day gets better. When you're sad, I want to fix everything that's hurting you." He turned to face her completely. "I'm falling in love with you. Actually, I think I already fell." Ebony felt tears in her eyes, but happy ones this time. "I feel the same way. I was scared to say it. You're so handsome and powerful, and you're everything." Dong-woo interrupted. He cupped her face in his hands. "You're beautiful and kind and strong. You make me want to be a better man. May I kiss you?" "Yes," Ebony whispered. When their lips met, Ebony felt like fireworks exploded inside her. Dong-woo kissed her gently at first, then deeper. His arms wrapped around her waist and pulled her close. She could feel his heart pounding against her chest. They kissed for a long time, exploring each other carefully. Dong-woo's hands moved up and down her back, making her skin tingle everywhere he touched. "I want you so much," he said against her lips, "but only if you're ready. I'll wait as long as you need." Ebony surprised herself with her answer. "I don't want to wait. I want you too." Dong-woo lifted her in his arms and carried her to his bedroom. He laid her gently on the bed and looked at her like she was precious treasure. "You're so beautiful," he said, kissing her neck. "Every part of you is perfect." He slowly removed her clothes, kissing each piece of skin as it was revealed. When Ebony felt shy about her curves, Dong-woo stopped and looked into her eyes. "Don't hide from me. I love your body. These curves drive me crazy. Your skin is like silk. You're a goddess, Ebony, my goddess." His words made her feel confident and desired. When they finally made love, it was gentle and passionate at the same time. Dong-woo took his time, making sure she felt only pleasure. He whispered beautiful things in Korean and English, telling her how much he wanted her, how good she felt, how he never wanted to let her go. Afterward, Ebony lay in his arms feeling more complete than ever before in her life. "No one has ever made me feel this way," she told him. Dong-woo kissed her forehead. "You're mine now. I'll protect you from everything. I promise." Over the next weeks, they couldn't keep their hands off each other. Dong-woo would come home early from work just to be with Ebony. They made love in the morning before she left for work, and again at night. Sometimes in the middle of the night, they would wake up and reach for each other. Ebony discovered a passionate side of herself she didn't know existed. With Derek, she always felt like she wasn't enough. With Dong-woo, she felt like a queen. But their happiness made other people jealous and angry. Derek heard that Ebony was living with Dong-woo. His ego was hurt. He started telling people at the hospital that Ebony ran away with a criminal, that she was probably being forced to stay with him. Some of Ebony's co-workers began treating her differently. They whispered when she walked by. One day, her supervisor called her into the office. "Ebony, "We're hearing concerning things about your living situation," the supervisor said. "Is everything all right?" "Everything is fine," Abeni said firmly. "I'm very happy." "With a man who people say is involved in organized crime?" "Those are just rumors. Dongwoo is a businessman. He's been nothing but good to me." But the judgment in her supervisor's eyes hurt. Then there was Seo Yeon, a Korean woman who used to date Dongwoo 2 years ago. When she heard he was with someone new, she was furious. She was even more angry when she found out Abeni wasn't Korean. Seo Yeon showed up at the hospital one day. She was tall and thin, wearing expensive clothes and too much makeup. "So you're the African girl who tricked Dongwoo," Seo Yeon said coldly. "I didn't trick anyone," Abeni replied, "and I have work to do." "He'll get bored of you. He always gets bored. He'll come back to me. We're the same culture, the same world. You're just a toy to him, something different to play with." The words stung, even though Abeni tried not to show it. "Dongwoo loves me." Seo Yeon laughed meanly. "That's what you think. But men like him don't marry women like you. They marry women like me." After she left, Abeni felt doubt creeping in. Was Seo Yeon right? Was she just a temporary thing for Dongwoo? But the biggest danger came from Richard Kozlov, a Russian criminal who hated Dongwoo. They'd been enemies for 5 years, fighting over territory and business deals. Richard was cruel and dangerous. He'd hurt many people. When Richard's spies told him about Abeni, he smiled. Finally, he'd found Dongwoo's weakness. One evening, Abeni left work late. The parking lot was dark and nearly empty. She walked quickly to her car, her keys already in her hand. Suddenly, 2 large men appeared from behind a van. Before she could scream, one covered her mouth with his hand, while the other grabbed her arms. They dragged her into the van and tied her hands. Abeni's heart pounded with terror. Where were they taking her? What did they want? The van drove for 30 minutes before stopping at an old warehouse by the water. The men pulled her out and pushed her inside, where a tall man with blonde hair and cold blue eyes waited. "Welcome, Miss Abeni," he said with a Russian accent. "I'm Richard. You've probably heard of me." "Let me go," Abeni demanded, trying to sound brave even though she was shaking. "Soon. First, I need to make a phone call." Richard pulled out his phone and dialed. "Dongwoo, I have something that belongs to you, or should I say someone. Your pretty girlfriend is here with me." Even from across the room, Abeni could hear Dongwoo's angry voice through the phone. "If you hurt her, I'll kill you slowly," Dongwoo said. "Then you better give me what I want. Come to Pier 23, Warehouse 9. Come alone, no weapons, or I'll put a bullet in her head." Richard hung up and smiled at Abeni. "Now we wait." Across the city, Dongwoo felt pure rage. Someone took his woman, his Abeni, the woman he loved more than his own life. He called his 2 most trusted men, Tae Min and Sang Woo. "Richard has Abeni. I'm going to meet him." "It's a trap," Tae Min said. "He'll kill you both." "I don't care. I have to save her." Dongwoo loaded his gun. "But I need you two to be ready. Park outside the warehouse. When I give the signal, come in shooting." At the warehouse, Richard paced around Abeni like a cat playing with a mouse. "You know what's funny? Dongwoo acts so tough. But all I had to do was grab his girlfriend, and he comes running. Love makes men weak. Love makes men strong," Abeni said. "You wouldn't understand that." Richard slapped her across the face. Abeni's cheeks stung and her eyes watered, but she didn't cry. The warehouse door opened and Dongwoo walked in, his hands raised. He saw Abeni tied to a chair with a red mark on her face, and his rage grew even stronger. "I'm here. Let her go." "Not yet," Richard said. "First you're going to watch me kill her. Then I'll kill you. That way, the last thing you see is the woman you love dying. Richard pulled out a gun and pointed it at Abeni. Time seemed to slow down. Dongwoo moved faster than lightning. He pulled his own hidden gun and shot the weapon out of Richard's hand. Richard's men rushed at Dongwoo. He fought them off, punching and kicking with deadly skill, but there were too many of them. One man shot Dongwoo in the shoulder. Blood spread across his shirt, but Dongwoo kept fighting. He had to reach Abeni. Nothing else mattered. Suddenly, the warehouse doors burst open. Tae-min and Sang-woo rushed in with 10 more men. A huge fight broke out. Guns fired, men shouted, chaos everywhere. Dongwoo finally reached Abeni and cut her ropes. "Are you hurt?" "I'm okay, but you're bleeding." "It's nothing. We need to get you out of here." They ran for the door, but Richard blocked their path. His face was twisted with anger. He raised his gun at Abeni. Dongwoo stepped in front of her, ready to take the bullet. But Tae-min shot Richard in the leg. Richard fell, screaming in pain. "Go!" Tae-min shouted. "We'll handle this!" Dongwoo pulled Abeni outside and into his car. He drove fast toward the hospital, his shoulder bleeding badly. "You got shot because of me," Abeni cried. "You could have died." "I'd die 1,000 times for you," Dongwoo said simply. "Don't you understand, Abeni? You're my whole world. Without you, nothing else matters." "I love you so much," she sobbed. "I was so scared I'd never see you again." "I'll always find you, always protect you. You're mine forever." At the hospital, doctors treated Dongwoo's wound. The bullet went through his shoulder without hitting anything important. He would be fine. But as they sat together in the hospital room, both of them knew their troubles weren't over. Richard escaped before the police came. He was out there somewhere planning revenge. Seo Yeon was spreading lies about Abeni. Derek was trying to cause problems. Their love was strong, but could it survive everything coming their way? The danger is just beginning. What do you think will happen next? Comment below with your predictions and don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an update. Where are you watching from? Thank you for watching. The next part drops soon.